Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a question that's been around for years. Why is the iPhone usually faster than Android phones, even when Androids have more RAM, more cores, and some crazy specs on paper? I know, it sounds strange. You've seen Android phones with 12 gigabytes of RAM, octa-core processors, even liquid cooling systems. Meanwhile, the iPhone is sitting there with 6 gigabytes of RAM and fewer cores, and somehow it still feels faster. So what's really going on here? Well, first off, let's bust a common myth. Specs aren't everything. Just because a device looks powerful on paper doesn't always mean it performs better in real life. It's like building a race car with a giant engine, but if your tires are cheap, the suspension is off, and your fuel system isn't tuned, you're not going to win the race. That's kind of what happens in the Android world sometimes. You've got impressive parts, but they're not always working together in harmony. Apple, on the other hand, doesn't chase big numbers. They chase efficiency and optimization. Instead of cramming in the most RAM or the highest clock speeds, Apple focuses on how everything works together, from the chip to the software to the battery. And that's where the iPhone really pulls ahead. Now let's talk about Apple's secret weapon, the A-series chips. These are Apple's custom-designed processors like the A16 or A17 Bionic, and they're monsters. Unlike most Android phones, which use chips from Qualcomm or MediaTek, Apple builds their chips in-house. That means every inch of that processor is fine-tuned specifically for iPhones and iOS. No middlemen, no generic parts, just pure synergy. This allows Apple to build hardware and software that are literally made for each other. iOS is designed to squeeze the most out of that chip. So even if the iPhone has less RAM or fewer cores, it's using them way more efficiently. It's like a team that's been training together for years versus a group of all-star players who just met yesterday. And speaking of RAM, this is a huge one. Android phones often need more RAM because of how Android works. Android runs on Java-based virtual machines, which require more memory management, background services, and garbage collection. iOS doesn't work that way. It handles memory differently and more efficiently, so it simply doesn't need as much RAM to run buttery smooth. Then there's software updates. iPhones get updates directly from Apple the moment they're released. Boom, everyone gets it. Meanwhile, in Android land, updates have to go from Google to the manufacturer, then often to the carrier, and that takes time. That means Android phones can be running outdated software or security patches, which can hurt performance over time. On iPhones, the software is always optimized for the latest hardware and vice versa. And let's not forget background activity. Android apps are notorious for staying alive in the background, running services, syncing data, draining battery, and slowing things down. iOS is stricter. It limits background processes and prioritizes the active tasks, so your iPhone stays snappy even after hours of use. Another thing people don't always think about is thermal performance. Some Android phones throttle performance quickly when they heat up. Even with advanced cooling systems, the software often pulls back to avoid overheating. Apple's chips are built with thermal efficiency in mind, so they can maintain high performance without getting as hot. That's why an iPhone can stay consistently fast, even under pressure. Oh, and have you ever noticed how iPhones launch apps faster, even ones that haven't been opened in a while? That's partly due to the way iOS handles app caching and memory management. It's just smarter about keeping the right stuff ready to go and cleaning up what's not needed. Even animations are part of the speed illusion. iOS animations are fluid and intentional. They make transitions feel smooth and fast. On some Android phones, animations might feel choppy or laggy, even if the phone is technically powerful. That subtle difference makes a big impact on how fast a phone feels to the user. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean Android phones are slow or bad. Not at all. There are some incredibly fast and capable Android devices out there, but in most day-to-day situations, app opening, multitasking, software responsiveness, the iPhone has the edge because everything is tightly integrated and finely tuned. It's kind of like the difference between a tailored suit and one off the rack. Android phones might have more fabric and extra features, but the iPhone just fits better. It's that seamless experience that makes it feel faster, smoother, and more reliable, even when the raw specs say otherwise. So the next time you see an iPhone outperform a spec-heavy Android phone, Remember, it's not just about numbers. It's about harmony. Hardware, software, and design working together like a well-rehearsed orchestra. And that, my friends, is why the iPhone usually feels faster than Androids in most cases. Thanks for watching. If you learned something new today, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more tech breakdowns, and drop a comment. Do you notice the speed difference between iPhone and Android? I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.